Hey YouTube, welcome to the MC's Unscripted, the show where we talk to artists, entertainers, and behind the scenes decision makers who are simply the best at what they do. My name is Doug, and today I am so excited because we have one of the most talented and beautiful voices, faces, and personalities in the industry today. Period. I'm not lying. She's what we call a unicorn, people. In this business, this is what we call a unicorn. Opera vocalist and stage actor, and somehow, by the grace of God, host of the MC's main show, Julia Glicksberg. Julia, how are you?
That was quite an intro. I'm doing well.
Hey, it's all true. It's all facts. So thank you so much for doing this. But before we get into the weeds, I just want to ask you a quick question. I know that you work for the St. Petersburg Opera Company, and you guys just finished a run of Tosca by Giacomo Puccini. Okay, now this is a political thriller, classic Roman sense, right?
Yeah.
Lust, debauchery.
Yeah.
The main character, Tosca, is pretty much manipulated emotionally, sexually. The really tricky, darker theme, which is classic to Roman, to Roman political theater. But in like today's world, in the Me Too world, in the world where the types of stuff that the villain does is really over the top, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's it like? What's the reaction from others? What's it like to play that in a time like this?
Yeah. Well, it was very, very interesting to see how they kind of played this out on stage. And, during the show, most of the time I'm backstage, so I don't really get to see what's going on the stage. But during rehearsals, when you're not singing, you can be out there in the audience watching. And, most of the time with performing, it's kind of easy to just watch a performance and what goes on behind the scenes, it makes it a little less real for you.
Right.
But with scenes like this that are so kind of intense and dark, and you really get really have like a deeper meaning. You get more you stay in character with the people on stage when you see them so in the scene. So like in the scene where Tosca's basically being assaulted by Scarpia, when watching that, it sort of seems very real to you, and you can't help but kind of stop breathing and really tense in your seat, because the actors and singers are just phenomenal. They're so good, where they really pull you in, and they don't break that fourth wall between the audience and the performer, and so you're really in the scene with them. And it gets very intense when you're watching it. Even my parents came to the show, and my mom was just like, I wish you would have stabbed him again. So they have the murder scene where Tosca kills Scarpia, and I'm over here can she do it again? Because but she gets the Tosca would get so into it, and at the end she's not even singing the lines, she's screaming them at him. Her last lines to him as he's dying is "Mori, mori," which is die.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really impactful. It's really powerful.
Since meeting you, I've found such a joy in these stories that are told in opera that really aren't anywhere else. You don't get this type of stuff on in musicals. No way. It's a whole different thing. You don't get it in modern plays kind of have been risque, and maybe back in the days in the Greeks, right, it was really risque.
Right. And opera actually kind of stems, I think it really also stems from the like Greek tragedies.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
there, yeah, that similarity there.
Wow. Okay, so I read some reviews. Everybody seems to love it in Tampa and Orlando. And, from what you've been telling me, I wish I was there to see it. But, like I said, it's not just that. That doesn't make you a unicorn. Yeah, you sing opera. Yeah, you work for a great company. I'm naming this because in my research, Julia, I don't think you've done anything the likely way, like in your whole life. Anything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's talk about. Let's just go from the very beginning. You're
Okay.
growing up. You got a white Jewish father whose parents left Europe. And that was um, before the horrors, and they grew up in America. If they'd grown up there, they would
Oh,
have been caught
it would
there.
have been very different. Yeah.
Right, very different life. Um, and your mother, black, Jamaican, Christian. It couldn't be more different, right?
Yeah.
If she tried to, literally. What's growing up in that household like? That's an unlikely household. Talk about, what that story itself, what that coming together means to you, and what it's like growing up in a household that unlikely.
Well, my mom was really, really good about trying to incorporate both cultures in
Okay.
our household. Honestly, she'd be the one like, okay, we have to do Passover this year. My dad's like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
oh yeah, Passover.
Um, and I never really noticed like much of a difference in between like really thinking of myself as mixed race until I grew up, I got a little bit older. And one thing that really kind of struck me when I was at school, this is probably in undergrad and when doing my bachelor's. And I had some friends who were African American and they grew up in that culture, like listening to certain songs and like a- and I like didn't know a lot about that kind of black culture because my mom is black Jamaican, but like the Caribbean culture is
Right.
different, like the African American culture here in the States and stuff. So like there was one time where I can't remember the specific conversation, but one of my friends ended up saying, no, Julia, you can't like do that or say that or something. You're not black enough or something like that. And yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, what? Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, oh, I never thought of myself as really having to choose between being black or white.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was one of those instances where I was like, oh, um, I guess I it made me like I don't really know where I fit in, that
Yeah.
kind of feeling. Um,
Yeah.
I just came to a realization that because I never really thought that I guess like growing up with cultures of two different cultures in a household, like I never really thought that that was different or like yeah, just different. And I'm realizing it's probably because in my friend groups, I've had friends from so many different communities and cultures. And so, like, none of them expected me to be a certain way.
Yep.
Um, and so we were all just really comfortable, like, being ourselves and not thinking that, oh, she's black and, talks like this or does this or that. Um, Monday was Diwali for the Indian community, and one of my best friends is Indian, and so she had a Diwali celebration Friday, which I went to, and she invited a lot of her non-Indian friends, and so we all showed up, and her and her mom like had so many Indian outfits for us to like wear and
Oh,
try on. So, like,
wow.
in a traditional sari, straight from India.
I need pictures. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I have pictures. Okay.
Yes, I need pictures. We're gonna put them up right in this interview. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I feel like I looked pretty Indian. Because they put, you know, I can't remember what this was called, on the bindi. They put the bindi on the forehead.
Okay.
And like my hair was kind of back, so, and because like my dad is Jewish, I feel like maybe you're not supposed to say this, but I feel like I have a bit of a Jewish nose. And that's kind of like Middle Eastern.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I said the features are also very Egyptian too, because they're you know, when way back since the Ottoman Empire went over there, that's all from the same area, that Middle East. Wow. Right. So I need those pictures.
Okay.
All right. And that is cool. Speaking of Indian themes here, your sister did an Indian dance at least a couple times once.
How did you find that?
This is my job. This is what I do.
Oh my gosh. But yes.
Did you ever watch it? Did you see it?
Oh yeah, I saw it. She did. She went to Nova Southeastern for medical school, and they had a Bhangra team there, and so she joined the Bhangra team. And yeah, they did like a whole performance for their school and everything. It was pretty good, and she, you know, dressed up, and her best friend is also Indian. And so, yeah, she dressed up in all the Indian garb and everything. And like growing up, we had a lot of Indian friends. And so we would always go to like India Fest. We'd go to their festivals like Garba is their dancing festival. And we'd go to their pujas, their little like holy celebrations and stuff. So we like know a lot about the Indian culture just from our friends, from that like diverse community that we've been a part of growing up. So I was really grateful, or I am really grateful, to have grown up with so many friends from different backgrounds. I think that was really, really helpful in me, like, having that kind of perspective.
Awesome. That's great insight. Actually, I think that is very true. My parents tried their hardest to make sure I was in as diverse. Growing up in Chicago, it's not easy. You know, when you don't have a lot of money or whatever, but as often as I could, being put around different colors, different cultures all the time, trying different things, I think it does give you a more worldly perspective. So I like that. Okay, well, speaking of that, we're going to stay on this just one little bit longer. After hearing Kanye West on this prolonged fever dream that he's on, this anti-Semitic rant for like weeks now, right? When you hear stuff like that, what do you think? How does that affect you?
I guess when I hear people talking about stuff like that, it just makes me think that they're in their own little bubble of a world, and that I mean, like, Kanye West is like a world-renowned performer. Like, so it's not like he's never seen other cultures or like interacted with people of other cultures. So to me, I'm like, is that just blissful ignorance, or not even blissful ignorance, but like, yeah, I just don't really understand how somebody can think in such a secluded kind of way.
I think that's very generous. I think it's very generous. I honestly speaking, I think he's a narcissist and a bigot. And when you're bigoted and narcissistic with that type of ego, the result ends up being really bad, because lashing out and talking at the corner store, or, you know, around the water fountain, is a lot different from lashing out and attacking when you have money and power.
when you have a voice and people listen to you,
yeah,
that can be really detrimental. And I think it also stems, or in some cases it can stem from a place of fear, people not knowing about their culture and then fearing what they don't know.
So, all right, we don't even have the time to go into this, but I'll tell you what, we'll come back to that. We're gonna make a MC show about it. All right, because it definitely relates to it definitely relates. So we'll get back into that. Let's go a little bit lighter. Let's go a bit lighter. All right. So I believe your mother made everybody do music.
Yeah.
The smartest decision ever made in the history of parenting. Everybody must do music, right?
Yeah.
But what I found a more interesting, I mean, extremely interesting, not just that music part, but there's this. And let me see if you can just give me a reaction when you see this.
Oh, no. Why? Doug. Okay.
Now, tap dancing? You don't know.
Find this.
You don't know what I had to go through to figure out what your mom made everybody do music, and you find a way to get into tap dancing. And I didn't know what that was, but it turns out Laura also was there. Her older sister is there. And I need to know. Nobody remembers what age this is. When was this, Julia?
I think this was my sophomore year of high school, so I guess I was like 15? No, 14, 15?
Really? We were thinking middle school.
No.
Were you a good tap dancer?
So I did this for a year. My friend Laura in front there, she had done like tap and jazz dancing for years. And I don't know, one year I wanted to do some sort of dance class. I have always really loved to dance. I did like ballet when I was very young, but didn't, stay with it. But so I don't know how I ended up doing this dance class with her, but I joined her dance class and I was like, I think I was the only new person there because everybody in the dance class had taken that dance class like for years.
Yeah.
So I was the only new person. And let me just tell you, like, learning tap is really hard.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like all these younger kids in the class are already doing all their like shuffles and like all these things. And I'm over here like, Laura was a really good friend. And she helps me practice. So, yeah.
Laura is still a good friend, isn't she?
Yes, Laura's still a great friend.
Awesome.
I saw her at the Diwali celebration on Friday, so.
Outstanding. Okay. So this is right about here, right? Is when right about here is when I start to wonder, what kind of a superstar did I get lucky enough to work with? Julia, soccer, athletic. I'm wondering, well, why every time I see her sing does she look more graceful? Why is every part of her body always seem to be moving exactly where it's supposed to be? There's nothing done without a reason. Then I look back and you're doing tap. I look back and your acting is better than most. Most people don't realize that being athletic is not something most singers can talk about, right?
That's true. Most of my musician friends are not very athletic.
Right, because you usually end up having to choose one or the other. But only the unicorn. Only the unicorn ends up doing all of it, right? That's why it's called that. So we're tap dancing. Maybe it was just for fun, or maybe just for your friend, but you're also in marching band. Now, marching band is not something that people in chorus do. People don't do both. Like, it's just not done unless you're a unicorn. First of all, tell me about going into marching band freshman year. You're playing the what are you playing?
In marching band, it's the mellophone.
The mellophone. You're playing the mellophone, and your sister is the drum major.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so number one.
Oh my God.
Do you feel a need, like to oh my God, I got to be great because my sister is, and do you feel that? Did you feel that pull, like I have to do this because I have to be good because she's in the lead?
I will say I'm not embarrassed to admit this. I auditioned for the show choir like 2 years in a row. I didn't get in. So like in high school, I was not the best singer. Like I really loved to sing, but I had never had any formal training. So it was kind of hard to compete with other people who like actually did take voice lessons and things like that. So that kind of sucked. I didn't get to be in the show choir, and they were really good. They were even like in a Super Bowl commercial. Like they were really good.
Wow.
But yeah, so band was my thing. But my sister played the flute in marching band. She played the bassoon in concert band. And I played the mellophone in marching band, the French horn in concert band. And my brother ended up switching from French horn to the euphonium in concert band. And then that translates to the baritone in marching band. So we were all part of the same extracurriculars, but just like different instruments, really. Wow. So it was actually really cool being in band with my brother and sister. My brother wasn't as into it as me and my sister. Like she was drum major, and then I ended up being like in band leadership.
That's all right.
Not ashamed to admit, I was a band geek.
That's definitely. What's up. So was I.
Yeah. And what did you play?
Drums.
Right. Okay. Percussion. Yeah. You guys are so cool.
Oh man, I'm just gonna let you know. The drums are obviously the coolest thing in marching band. Everybody knows this, and it's okay. It's okay. So I loved marching band. That was the best time of my life.
Me too. Like high school, it's such a family. Yeah.
So this is crazy. Like, how did it feel not getting into the choir at school? Yeah. Now you had other singing, I'm guessing, right? You were doing out at church or other things. Is that the case?
I don't know if I really started singing at church until maybe in high school, going into college, but I really didn't do a lot of singing most of high school.
How did you choose to go to a major in opera?
This is a funny story, I guess. When I think back on it, I'm like, why the heck did I do that?
What were you thinking?
What was I thinking? I don't know. So it actually stemmed from my piano lessons. Mm-hmm. One of my piano teachers, her husband, was really into opera, and he's not really a musician. He knows how to play the piano and he can sing, but he's a doctor. But he was super into opera, and he started hosting these opera nights where we could come to their house and we would listen to an opera. He would choose what opera it was. He would have he did his research. He had the Italian and the translation and the characters, and we would listen to the opera. We'd go over the plot. He was really into it. And it was fun because they would have like wine and, well, I wasn't old enough to drink wine.
Right.
But and food, and so it was like a little gathering, a little party with opera. And then what he would do is that the opera that that we're talking about would be at the movie theater. So they will stream operas at certain movie theaters.
Oh, okay.
And so we would go see the opera after that. So that was how I got introduced to opera. And I think the first one that we went to go see was Aida, which is a great one. Like, it's great for your first time because it's so opulent and like grand. It's right. Like the epitome of this is opera, Nice. So that's like opened my eyes to the world of opera. And after that, like, I really enjoyed going to see different operas at the movie theater, going to his opera nights. And then sometimes it would just be like me and my mom we would just go to the operas together because she really loves that kind of music.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, YouTube. Can you imagine never singing opera? And then going to audition at a university to be an opera major?
Okay, wait.
That's all. I need to know what's going on, Julia.
Yes. Okay. So, when I was deciding, like, in high school, deciding, okay, what am I going to major in when I go to college? I need to think of a major, something that I can already have kind of in my head for when I have to choose my degree. And I really wanted to do singing because I had always really loved to sing. People told me like I was a good singer, probably really just because I could match pitch well, which I learned from piano. And I honestly, like, seriously, thinking back, I'm like, yeah, I like to sing, but like, why did I go to college for it? Because then I was like, okay, no, let me look up what I need to get into a music program.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I need some songs in different languages, and like I need to know how to sing art songs. Whoa.
Number one, okay. the unicorn number one. I'm stopping you there. Listen. So YouTube, understand, opera singers don't sing choral music or pop music. They sing opera only. There's only a few styles of opera that they're even allowed to sing, and of course Julia sings my favorite style with not the super wide vibrato and weird intonations. I like your style. I forgot the name of it. I had it written down somewhere else, but the idea that you are singing chorus here, some pop here. Do you still have the picture that your sister drew for you about you on stage and when you were like in middle school, elementary school?
How do you know about that? What? This is getting weird. How do you know about that?
Do you still have the picture?
No, that's a different picture of me. It might be on my door.
So you have it. Good. Okay. Awesome. So you knew that you wanted to sing from way back when, but you just.
I won't say. Yeah, my first performance was me as, I think, Little Bo Peep, performing for my family, like just for my grandparents for somebody's birthday or something, and I'm like in a little outfit, and I guess this must have been my calling because like I just went out there, sang my little heart out, and that was that. So I always really loved performing, I guess, and singing, but it was never something I seriously considered until I actually, like I said, was thinking about going to college, and I had always wanted to take voice lessons. And one of my aunts was actually really supportive, and she was always bugging my parents, you need to get Julia to take voice lessons. You need to sign her up for voice lessons. And my parents were like, well, she does band, like she does piano and music and stuff. But then I'm like, oh man, like I actually need voice lessons to help prepare me to audition for these music programs, or else I'm not going to get in.
Right.
So, during my senior year, I started taking voice lessons with a teacher in the area who's really good. And she helped me get ready and learn some songs. Kind of started out taking voice lessons. I probably was taking them a few months before my auditions. So that was really nerve-wracking because...
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was kind of like, ooh, here we go. And so, I felt very intimidated because most of the people that were auditioning had been singing for a while now. So.
Yeah. I don't think you understand that maybe the audience is getting me. The audience is getting me. I know they're thinking the same thing. The hell are you talking about, Julia? Like, that's the...
What?
Like, oh, I just started taking lessons a couple months before I auditioned to go to college for opera. And it's like, well, yeah, little Timmy over here has been practicing since he was 6 to go to college for opera and may or may not get in. Like, it's... The natural talent is unbelievable. And no, you can't respond to that. I want to know, where did you learn the acting part? Go ahead, respond.
Okay, wait, let me just say, like, it's not like I auditioned to these places and, like, I got into every school. Really, I only got, the only music program that I got into was at USF. And let me tell you, this has been the struggle, because I feel like, I've always felt like, because I started like lessons later in life, I've always been trying to play catch up. And so, like, I auditioned at maybe like 4 schools in Florida, and I only got into USF because my teacher that I started taking lessons with in high school, she knew a teacher at USF, one of the main teachers there. And I went in for my audition the first time, and it was okay, but I guess it wasn't strong enough. They didn't admit me, so I didn't get into the music program. And so I think maybe somehow, bless this teacher of mine, her name was Mrs. Crawley, and bless her, because she got me a second audition. And so I auditioned the second time, and because I had, like, in between my first time auditioning and the second time, I had more lessons with her and I improved. And so when I took my audition the second time, they could see that I had improved in that short amount of time, so that they saw that I could show improvement going forward, because I wasn't necessarily where they wanted me to be. But one of my skills is adapting and learning very quickly when I learn something new. And so that really, really helped me to show them that I could improve and that I could move forward with, what they were going to teach me.
So I want you to see this.
So now all the time people will ask me what my family's like, and I'll pull up Julia or, Jessica's Instagram and show off my sister. It's like, it's, I mean, I tell people that, she's a music teacher, but really, I mean, she's an opera singer, but she teaches because you gotta, right? I mean, I was just immensely proud of her for pursuing it in the first place and following through, going to Italy a few years back, and just like, she's had such an interesting and like impressive life, I think, so far, and I mean, it's inspiring to me. Like, I want to be like, when I grow up, I want to be more like my twin sister, like, I think she's really cool.
How did you do that? You're sneaky.
Hey, I thought it was important to get the real perspective, because you wouldn't tell me, right?
That's funny, because he texted me the other day and said something about, like, the YouTube channel, or like he watched a video on the MC's YouTube channel. I was like, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and all honesty, What do you feel when you see that? You're an inspiration. And
I know. I was
literally
like, what?
watching
Really?
you. Well, and I know that a lot of times, we don't say that to each other. We'll say it to other people. That's why I wanted to record it and to make sure that you saw it. Thoughts?
Um, yeah, I guess it's when I see like somebody talking about me in that way, I'm like, whoa, like I'm an inspiration. Like, what did I do? Because the way that I see, I guess like my path in life, or this path that I've kind of been on, and like the decisions that I've made, it's sort of like, I don't know, these decisions that I've made in at that time have been logical. They've been like, well, yeah, this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna go after it. I'm gonna do this. It doesn't really seem like anything out of the ordinary to me.
Right.
Maybe that's like my different perspective. I mean, most people don't really follow their dreams, I guess.
No, they don't.
But for me, it was sort of I just couldn't really see myself doing anything else. If I could have seen myself doing something that made more money, sure as heck would have done that. So
okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. But yeah, it was sort of like, well, I always knew that I wanted to do something with music for the rest of my life because it's such a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And then like finding opera was like kind of took it to the next level. Like, this is actually something I can go get a degree in. This is something that I can take steps towards. And I just kind of took the next like logical steps for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the path that I've been on so far. So, but it's really nice to kind of like see from other people's perspectives that I guess this isn't really normal, and I am taking sort of a risk, like going in this direction for my music.
Interesting. You did your first. I believe you said your first. Maybe paid. I'm not sure. Maybe something about your first opera that you did professionally. You said was La Boheme.
La Boheme. Mm-hmm.
La Boheme.
Yeah.
Basically translate to the Bohemian, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you relate to the guys in the attic? Like, do you relate to that Bohemian that's willing?
Yeah, definitely. Because they're all like, they're artists, they're musicians, they're poets. And I love how they incorporate like how composers will incorporate characters like that into the opera, where it's like in Tosca is like a singer, she's a performer. We're like, that's us.
I see that in you, and I wasn't sure. Like when we first met, it's not something that you get because in order to do the things that you do takes a lot of time on your own, right?
Yeah.
And so you find yourself a bit introverted, practicing all the time, learning languages, but you still find a way to be out there and personable to where most artists aren't able to do without prodding.
I see.
How do you find that balance?
I'm really an introvert. Like, I'm really an introvert, but I'm an extroverted introvert where I still like to be around people. I still like to interact with people and with like my community. So I don't know if I got this from my parents or from my mom, who is like very social, but I feel like I usually do well in those social sorts of settings, especially like in the opera world. You have what you call donors who will donate money to like an opera company, because like in the States here, opera companies are basically funded by donors, which is kind of sucks because in Europe,
absolutely sucks. We're gonna do a show about that too.
Because that just shows how little we think about like how much we need music. how much we need that in our society. Like in Europe, they have state operas, and like their opera houses are funded by the government.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
In America, if it can't make you $1 billion and crush people under your thumb, it's not worth doing. That's what I found.
Yeah, but going back to the whole thing about donors. So like in the opera world, I feel like you have to have a certain charm about you. You have to kind of put on that personality of being able to, you know,
mingle.
Like, yeah, meet people, get yourself out there, like be social and have that, that flair about you to make people want to talk to you, make them want to fund your projects and things like that. So I feel like part of me already likes to do that, and then there's another part of me that I can kind of like turn on, like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to some old people, some donors, and make some friends, and
turn it on.
Yeah, I will say, like, even a lot of people, mainly the performers, like main performers, the principal roles in these shows that I'm a part of, they're very outgoing and they love to talk to you, and like they love to have conversations, and they can kind of talk to anybody. And I feel like they have to, if you're not that way naturally, then you kind of have to become that way.
Yeah, you're right. And there's a difference between the musician, instrumentalist, and the stage performer. I got one more video for you, and then we'll take we'll just take a look at some pictures and see what you think about them. Tell us, what you got going on with the opera company and all that after end. But let's look at this picture. Let's listen to this first.
Julia is my best friend. I'm so lucky to have her as my sister. She's, I guess, one of my ride or dies, because she's been there from the beginning, and she's always enjoyed everything I enjoy. We have fun doing stuff we like together, and it's just, we don't like argue or fight, or we share clothes, and it's not an issue or anything like that. So it's nice to have someone similar to you in a lot of ways, but different enough that they always make you feel accepted.
Right.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Talk about that, what you just saw, and what's it like growing up or having your sister become a doctor, super busy doctor, and you kind of go the opposite way, bohemian, super busy artist.
Yeah.
Talk about that video as well, what you just saw.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Yeah, well, that just makes me really happy. That makes me smile. It's so nice to hear my sister like talking about me in such a sweet way. But she's right, like we never really argue. There are some times, I will say, when she's getting all huffy and puffy big sister, but like we're kind of always like on the same page. We have so many similar interests. We always have something to talk about and something to share with each other. And yeah, I wish I could spend more time with her, but she moved to New York, for her fellowship, and like, so going to, like, she's a doctor.
Yeah.
I've always been so proud of her for taking that on, like going to 4 years of medical school, like three years of a residency, and now she's in a fellowship that's going to be for 2 years. Like talk about perseverance, and
it's infectious diseases too, so it's like, yes, this is intense.
Yeah, like these are our times.
yeah. Wow. So what she didn't say, because unlike you, once the camera came on, she was like, ah! But before I turned the camera on, she also talked about how proud she was of you, and you and your career, and all of your accomplishments. This was an amazing experience. Thank you so much. I am, after the research and after getting a chance to do this. I always knew that I wanted to give you a spotlight and highlight, your accomplishments and what you do because you're so good at it. But after going through all this, I'm even more humbled. I'm even more appreciative that you decide to come on to this company, this fledgling, no money company that's just trying to start something in media. And if we make it to where I think we can, a large part of that will be because of you. I really appreciate you being our unicorn.
Aw, thank you.
Have anything going on? New stuff? What's the St. Petersburg Opera Company doing?
Yeah, well, they have some really good shows coming up in their season. And like the opera season is mainly in the spring, summertime, where they have their shows. I actually just auditioned for them again. So like I was really only in Tosca because the assistant director like texted me and was like, "Hey, so I know you're moving back to Tampa, like you want to be in this opera?" And I was like, "Okay."
Nice.
But I actually had to like officially audition for them. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them about my audition to see what I can do for them for this season. So I don't know about that yet. Okay. I do know I'll be doing an opera and a musical with Opera Tampa here in the area in spring. We're doing Pagliacci, which is one of the most classic Italian operas. You've probably heard some of the music from there. And we're also doing Sweeny Todd, the musical.
Oh, wow.
I'll be in
that. I
that.
didn't know that you can also do musicals, too.
Yeah, it's like Sweeny Todd is one of those kind of classical musicals where singing, it's not like musical theater nowadays that doesn't sound anything like opera really. So it's one of those kind of crossovers where opera people can sing in these kinds of musicals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your acting is superb. I had other pictures, other stuff. We didn't get to it. But I can't wait for those. Send me links. I'll put it all in the comment. I mean, not comment section, in the description. YouTube. Thank you for watching. But I have a big feeling the reason why you're watching is not because of me, but it's because of Julia. I wanted to say thank you, Julia, for doing this. YouTube, you know what to do. Press the like button. Subscribe. You're not going to get stuff like this anywhere else. At least when she gets rich and famous and leaves us. Until then. Stay here. Stay cool, guys. This is MC's Unscripted.